Can I maybe start by asking you just to take us back and talking about recapping how you came to be in the film? Because you hadn't acted before, right?
I had never acted before, not even in theater, as I had mentioned. The story was written by my professor when I was
Just maybe
in
point the mic to you.
Mysore University. My professor had written this short story that the film was based on, and the director had been meeting with my professor, Dr. Anantha Murthy, to let him know that he had been looking to cast for someone in this role, but hadn't found anyone that suited his expectations, I suppose. And so my professor, who had been kind of maybe just looking at me, may have got an idea that they could cast me in the role. He felt that I fitted the role and suited the requirements. So he introduced me to Girish Kasaravalli, and Girish agreed. He was, I think they had a feeling that I had the kind of looks of a girl from that village that this film is set in. And whatever it is, whether it was that I looked like a young Brahmin girl, or maybe I had the facial features and the cheekbones or whatever, I'm not sure. But that was the beginning of my journey with Ghatashraddha after this introduction with Girish Kasaravalli. And then we started shooting for this film almost immediately within the next few days. We went to a village where this entire film was shot in about maybe 40, 45 days. And then I went back to the university after that. And of course, they were busy with the post-production work and other things during that time. So I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
Yeah, great, over there, and then we'll come over here. Yeah.
Hi, thanks so much. This is a really big microphone. This movie handles a lot of topics that today, when we see in cinema, are portrayed differently or delicately, or I think there's a lot of delicacy in how they're portrayed here in a different context. And I guess I'm wondering, what do you find striking about this movie compared to how a lot of these topics are talked about today, especially in the context of the culture that it's coming from? You could pick any of the intense topics that are in this
I'm sorry,
film.
What was the last thing you said?
Like, what do you find striking about how maybe it's different today than it was then, or what really was done well in this film that we don't see today, or vice versa?
I think there are a lot of things that are still relevant today. The movie focuses on gender inequality in so many ways, the helplessness and the vulnerability of women, especially a widow in that setting. This movie was set almost 100 years back. So widows were really treated as very inauspicious, and they were really controlled and governed by very strict codes of morality and control. So I think the circumstances and the scenario may be different in today's day and time, but there are still subtle glimpses of similar attitude, I guess, towards women. It covers the hypocrisy of the Brahmin community, which is, I think, relevant even today. They stick so much to ritualistic practices, and the Brahmins think, they are superior because of their ritualistic practices. I think it is still relevant today, maybe less considerably, maybe not as blatantly as it used to be. So have I answered your question? I'm not sure if I heard everything right.
Here. Try to make you run.
Yes.
Serious topic, you know. How
was-
were you able to emote everything that you had to, being so young?
And not having had experience.
Not
as
having
an
had
actor.
experience with any of this. So did you go through special training? Did they, I don't know. How did you do that? It's a pretty
did
serious
not-
movie.
Yeah, I did not have any training. I think my director just guided me. I think he was such a visionary. He may have had the confidence that he could get the outcome that he looked for through his direction. So he explained the scenes to me, and I suppose I had also read the script of this film that helped me to understand the helplessness of this young woman, Yamunaka, who lived with her father and had no say or no independence in that setup where she lived. And her attachment to this young child, I suppose it's natural to feel certain emotions, to understand that she had no one but this little boy whom she felt attached to and looked towards him as if he's a young child that she can never have, just because even though she's young and fertile and capable of bearing a child, the norms of their society determine that she cannot have that. So she just has this deep connection with this child, and he looks up to her as his mother because he's a child without a mother. So there's this deep bond between them. So these are feelings, I think, as you go along, as you understand the script and the story, you begin to feel very involved and attached to it. So I would say that just with the direction of Girish Kasaravalli, who really brought out these emotions in me, I'm really surprised that I didn't go through any acting school or any audition for that matter. They just, on grounds of suitability, I was selected for this role, and I did the best I could. And you've seen the rest. I really hope it resonated with you all and you felt that I performed well. At least I tried to do the best I could.
You were phenomenal.
Thank you.
Do you remember what your relationship was with Ajit Kumar, who played Nani, the boy? There was such a tender relationship between those characters.
I think it was just during the shooting of the film, during the scenes that we had together, we came together. But I had a certain fondness for him, and I'm not sure how he felt. I've not seen him since. We shot this movie in the year 1976, and now next year it would be the 50th year, maybe the celebrations for this film. So I had a deep fondness for him that came from the bottom of it is the story that this film is, the film revolves around. So we just became, I just felt some compassion for this child, and I felt we were all in very vulnerable positions. In the beginning, it is Yamunaka who looks after the child, has this very motherly instinct and towards him, and is very nurturing towards him. But towards the end of the film, you may have noticed that it is Nani, the young boy, the 8-year-old boy, who's actually nurturing towards her, and he doesn't want to abandon her even under the most horrible circumstances when she's going through and he's totally overwhelmed by what is going on. He's too young to understand what is happening, but he's too deeply attached to her that he's not able to leave her. So somewhere, I think we start through the understanding of the script, we start to kind of feel a connection with the emotions. I think that's how I felt.
Other questions? Over here? Yeah, right there in the, I think it's a gray shirt. And then we can come right in front. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that wonderful performance. There was one scene in which the nuances were particularly fascinating to me, coming from a different culture where I think it would have been presented very differently. The scene in which the village men come to the locked door behind which Yonika and Inney are hiding. Now, that scene struck me as potentially much more violent than it was. Was that a directorial choice? Is that a realistic presentation of how that would have happened? Have times changed since then?
I think in this scene that we're talking about, I think it is also moving towards the climax. So the emotions are more heightened in that scene. They're trying to tell Yamunaka to let the boy out because they feel that she has been contaminated and they don't want her to contaminate the child because of what she has gone through. So they're ready to expel her from the society, and they're waiting for her father to come in. So what happens here is Ghatashraddha. Ghata is actually an earthen pot, and it's a symbol of, I would say, fertility. So when they break the pot, it's like the destruction of fertility. And it's also symbolic of the womb, the pot, the roundness of the pot. And they just want the boy to be separated from her because they're getting ready to, they're ostracizing her and ready to expel her from the community. So the Ghatashraddha, the ritual that is performed, it's a ritual that is performed over a living person, but that of the rites that are performed for a person when one dies. So they are similar to funeral rites. So that is what happens, and when she, after that, she's symbolically considered to be dead, and nobody cares what happens to her. She's left to her own devices. So in the end, you can only imagine the option she has when she's thrown out of the community and you see her sitting under the tree. Possibly she would go and beg somewhere, or she may try to attempt suicide again, like she did when she put her hand in this snake pit and hoping that a snake would bite her and kill her. So I think it would be that, or she would probably just be left to her own devices to beg, or who knows, it's only left to your imagination. Maybe one has to, it's not that women are equipped with skills that they can go out and find jobs. It's none of those options are not there. Their women are so totally governed by the men. It's such a patriarchal society. By her father, who is a Vedic teacher, she's in his home and she's totally under his control. And after he performs these rites and rituals, he is ready to move on. That is the hypocrisy of the Brahmin community, where their rituals matter far more to them than this emotions of considering forgiveness or compassion towards someone who has been in a vulnerable situation where a local school teacher has seduced her and got her into a relationship where she has become pregnant. She has nowhere to go. She's not educated, and if she's thrown out, she probably would just be left to beg maybe in front of a town, or maybe not even near a temple where they would not be allowed. Whereas the father would be allowed to possibly consider, not possibly, but it is alluded when they show this young girl walking with a pot of water, that maybe they can get her married to him so that they can keep his home fires burning. Maybe he will open up a Vedic school again, and this young girl would be like another reflection of Yamunaka. She would cook for him, but as his wife, and run the school. And a man who's as elderly as him would get a second chance in life, maybe getting by through marriage, whereas a young girl like Yamunaka, who is a symbol of fertility and youth, is denied those very same opportunities just because of the traditions that they live in that she's trapped in. So it is such a dichotomy in that sense. A young girl who is capable of giving birth to a child, she's forced to go through an abortion even though she's conceived and is pregnant, whereas the old man, he's ready to start a new life, maybe not have a child, but have a young bride. And it is in some way the contrast, the stark contrast that I alluded to about Kundalini yoga is in yoga or just a woman becoming pregnant, there is no moral judgment if you were to look at it just as it is. You would think about how a body is a vessel to carry a child, to transform, to create, to give birth. If you were to look at all those things without judgment, it's a beautiful thing. But in the Brahmin society, they're trying to suppress her and destroy all these things because it is not accepted. She has gone against their moral codes. So,
correctly, in the scene that I mentioned, thank you. If I understand you correctly, in the scene that I mentioned, the only reason the men don't show violence and break down the door is out of deference to the boy. Is that a good
I don't think it is
interpretation?
about that. I think it is, since you couldn't possibly understand the dialogues, they refer to her father who is traveling at the time, that he has been informed, and they're waiting for him to come back so that he can perform the funeral rites on her. I think the doors are too heavy to be broken. They're not like the modern doors. They're very heavy wooden doors. So I think the banging of the doors is to build up the emotions to a crescendo, if you know what I mean, just to heighten the emotions and to build towards the climax. But that is definitely how people would have handled this 100 years back. Welcome.
1, 2. All right, cool. So any media that critiques culture, or especially caste, is always subject to a lot of backlash. I wonder, at the time of release, did you witness any of that or experience it? Or did the film mostly reach audiences who were receptive to its message?
I was told there was no response in terms of any protests or any such thing towards the sequence of what happens in the film about her becoming a young widow, becoming pregnant, which is unheard of, especially in a Brahmin society. And then she goes on to have the abortion. But I heard that there was some objection when this film was shown abroad, that it's the family, the woman who performs the abortion, the midwife, I mean a quack midwife, she is of a lower caste who has converted to Christianity, as you would have seen from the pictures of Jesus and Mary, pictures on the walls. So they took offense to a Christian woman performing the abortion. So I heard that was one of the reasons that people may have protested, but not any of the other aspects of it. I hope I've answered your question.
Was that from Indian or international audiences?
I heard it was the international audience.
Oh, okay. 2 more up there. Oh, sorry, I guess we can go here first since you're right there, Oscar, and then we'll pass it down.
Hi, thank you very much. It was amazing how much we got from the film without any dialogue, and that speaks very highly of the actors and also of the director. I have a very specific question since we didn't have any dialogue. I was wondering if we know, was the school teacher just taking advantage of her because she was a widow, or did he actually have any feelings for her?
I think it was more a physical relationship, because you would have noticed that after the abortion, he just walks away, he just rides away on his bike. And even after the time when he brings her some medicines with the hope that it would help her with the abortion, that he hands over to her in her backyard, he just walks away after that. He is not emotionally attached to her, but I think it was just a physical relationship. They don't show the beginning of it, but it is alluded that he seduced her. She was a very young woman, maybe in her late teens, and she has been married and widowed at a very young age, and then she comes back to live with her father. So I don't think, to answer your question, the school teacher has any feelings. He would have behaved differently if he did.
So would, independently, regardless of this movie, would somebody in his position, if his girlfriend or whatever she was got pregnant, would they marry her or they wouldn't?
No, they would not, because they belong to a different community.
Mm-hmm.
The young girl, Yamunaka, is a Brahmin girl, and this school teacher, he's from a different caste, but he's not a Brahmin. So there is no, at that time, there was no remarriage for widows. It was not accepted. So there was no question of him marrying her under these circumstances. I think the whole film centers around these rituals, and it is about the Ghatashraddha, which means the funeral rites performed on a living person. So that is the focal point. So there is no question of her having any options of pursuing remarriage. It is her fate. It seems like it's predestined that she would be excommunicated from the society.
Over here.
Thank you for being there, for being here. There are so many layers in the film, and what really struck me was the ritual aspect of it, the tactile aspect of it. The thing that really struck to me is when she goes to commit suicide by sticking her hand in a snake pit, and Nani and the guy, I forget the name of the
Shastri.
No, Shastri, not Shastri.
Shastri is one of the older boys?
No, not the guy. The guy who works, the lower caste person who works.
Yes.
Right? He works. The thing that really struck me was that when they are, the kid and the lower caste guy, he's running ahead, and the kid is afraid. He says, hold me. Let me hold your hand.
Yes.
And the guy response is, you are a Brahmin. I can't touch you.
Correct.
I will let you hold the torch.
I'm glad you brought up this question. Nani begins to think that he's not human. He begins to think that maybe he is, because Shastri had tried to scare him by giving him impressions about a ghost, about some form of a devil who is walking around outside their house, and it is some form of spirit. So Nani wants him to hold his hand so that he can actually feel him. But Katira recoils because he's a untouchable, from an untouchable background, the so-called, because he belongs to a lower caste. So he is horrified when Nani wants him to touch his hand or hold his hand. So he offers to give him the torch that he can carry so that Katira can walk behind him.
That really struck me, and because that kind of a touch from a Brahmin community, that's super important, than seeing women, even during their menstrual period, not touch.
Yes.
And stay away. And I think the Girish Kasaravalli really captured the many layers here.
Yes.
But that was really, really stuck out to me.
Yes. There are a lot of symbols in this movie, as you may have noticed. The snake, the chanting, the tantric motifs that are shown throughout the film. All these give visual and conceptual meaning, especially if you are able to grasp through understanding the religious connotations to this film of Brahmins and how they follow their rituals and things like that. And you would have seen Shastri, he's all the time trying to get Nani under his control. And Nani is very attached to Yamunaka, and he's trying to break that friendship and relationship because he wants to dominate him and control him. And as you have seen, he also tries to touch him in some scene and make him touch the idol or the stone that has... Yeah, the snake, those are all idols of the snake. He makes him touch it and says, I'm here, you don't have to worry about it, you can touch it. But after that, he tries to frighten and scare the young boy by saying he has certain powers that allowed him to touch each one of them, but Nani is not, Nani does not have the same powers. So I think throughout the film you see that Shastri and the other boys are trying to bully him and trying to bring him under their control.
I think there was one more question down the row here, if you just want to pass the mic down, right?
Would you pass these down, please?
Thank you. Speaking to your point earlier about crescendo, and I'm really glad that this comment on symbols and motifs came up. I wanted to ask you if you could talk a bit about the music in the film, actually, because it felt very regional. It felt like, it was incredibly intentional, not just the music, but like, obviously, the sounds and the story was being told in that way, too. And I think that's why a lot of us, not understanding Karna, could feel a bit what was happening. But yeah, if you could share a bit more about like the artists or like, the how that all happened.
Yes, as you may have heard when I spoke earlier, this film also won an award for the music direction, which was by B.V. Karant, the late B.V. Karant. And he chose certain music instruments for certain characters to depict their characters. For instance, I think he had the violin and certain other musical instruments to resonate with the personalities or the nature of the people, with, like, for instance, Nani or Shastri or the Vedic, the teacher. So Girish also agreed that those sounds or the music instruments that he had decided to use as a musical for the background music for these the roles that people played, that they came out very meaningfully. So I would say that it was mostly very intentional to have different musical instruments to bring out the personalities of the different characters in this film.
Meena, I want to respect your time, and I want to really express my gratitude to you and apologies for the situation, but I'm really glad we were, I think, able to experience the power of the film nonetheless and the power of your performance.
Thank you.
It means a
very
lot
much.
that you're here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.